Thought I would leave it on the screen for a little bit without the music, just to like bait you guys. Good morning. It is the morning, and it is bright and early for a stream. My voice still has its morning gravel. I've managed to get almost 7 hours sleep. So the video that you're going to see this early afternoon, I finished it about 10 past 3. Quick bit of time to look at the running order. Got some sleep. Got up about 10 past 10. Had some breakfast, have coffee on the way, washed my face, and here I am. So, second semi-final is in the books. And, well, in some ways there are surprises, in other ways they weren't. Where the surprises weren't, both the betting odds and the model secured 10 out of 10 correct qualifiers. Where it was surprising was how some of those qualifiers performed on the night. And we will talk about that. Of course, welcome everybody to the stream. In case you haven't seen the plan for how today is going to go, we're going to be on stream now for about an hour and 20 minutes. And then at about 12:20, we're going to stop. The reason is I want to give myself the entire afternoon and early evening to recover and prepare for tonight's stream, where just after 8 o'clock, we're going to go live. We're going to be live probably until 6 a.m. Not 6 a.m., 2 a.m. Gosh, 6 a.m. would have been quite something. 2 a.m. I meant 2 a.m., not 6 a.m. Maybe I'm already a little tired. Matt, thank you so much for the subscription. Says Jala in the final. What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Don't you worry, we'll talk about that. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through our qualifiers, and then we are going to look to the running order. Safe to say there has been some decisions made, some of which are very interesting. There's also some songs that we want to reflect on that didn't qualify from the second semi-final that we're going to miss very much, and I know that we're big fans of all of you. So before we start, I am going to turn up the lighting on that side of my face. No accessories found. Well, that's good. Let's see if it showed up on the other one. There we go. So if I press this button... All right, you want to see a magic trick? There we go. Right, that's slightly better. Got to make sure that you get my good side. And we are going to look... Thank you so much, B, for the tip. He says, I know it'll get discussed, get this out of the way. Yes, BBC didn't show... section on LGBTQ representation is completely justified. That was some of the most degrading discussion of queer representation I've ever seen in my life. We'll talk about that in a moment. And Dratopia says Romania was absolute capitainesque yesterday. Indeed, and a great running order slot. Let's talk about that interval that quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we have a huge amount to get through in a short time today. But if, to those of you who are LGBT+, if you... if someone said to you, why do we have LGBTQ when we should just have one letter, H for human? If someone said that to you on the street, how hard would you roll your eyes? And how hard was that in comparison to when Victoria Swarovski said it last night? It once again indicates that this show has the worst script writing of potentially any... Eurovision of recent years. It is really just astonishingly bad and cringe. And it is just, can't believe it. It's the sort of thing that you think, how did no one look at this and go, hey, maybe this is insensitive. Maybe we should cut this or something. So if you felt irritated by that, then, so did everyone else. I'm going to highlight some comments because I know many of you are part of the LGBT community, and it's your opinions that should be foregrounded here. I read B's comment. Tommy says, as a gay guy, I appreciate the thought behind it, but it was humiliating. Yeah, I agree. Shiny Love says, love the Swedish commentators on that segment. For those of you who didn't see, Edward af Sillen on Swedish TV said the most tone-deaf performance wasn't from the singers, but rather from the hosts. And so, there's a lot of... It was very, very poorly measured, put it that way. And I think it just goes to show what we've already said about this, which is that it is just not good writing this year. It's not well done. It doesn't feel like there's lots of love in it. It feels like it's written by someone who clearly has no ability to read the room, not just on this, but on anything. And it's hurting the contest. But there we go. Someone says, what was with the I'm so excited? At least that was, a little less offensive in any case. So, let's look at our 10 qualifiers, if they load on the screen. I should say, by the way, I've just received a message, which is why I'm distracted. And someone is going to send me a list of translations of John Model into as many languages as they could think of. So I'm just, and they've asked me if I want it. Yes, please. I would love that. As would my stream chat, who I just told about this. There we go. So we'll have that later or tomorrow when James is next on. Let's start from the top, shall we? And for my money, I think Dara from Bulgaria might be one of the most charismatic performers of the year. And in terms of a wider appeal beyond this contest, in terms of a career that's coming to her after this, I can't think of a better audition to launch yourself internationally than what we've seen. She sells this song so well to a degree that is so far beyond so many others. It was just exceptional. The way she does the crazy eyes into the camera almost is just amazing, and it adds to it so much. The song works on stage. The staging itself is really clever. I just think everything here was slick and nicely done, and they did the incredible feat of making me not find this song in any way irritating. When I saw the live performance, I was like, wow, this is great. It's like watching a pop star. And, she is a pop star and will hopefully be abroad. Thank you so much to Lisa Fagertveit. I hope I said that right. It says, loved Denmark. And thank you so much for the super chat. We'll come to that. I thought Denmark was really good too. B says, the only thing I didn't like was the way she sang it bongoronga. I'll need to watch it again, to be honest, because I watched it during the show. And I wrote a section in the video later, sorry for spoilers, on that song, but I wrote it while watching the show. The way we sort of do this weird hybrid thing where I start writing during the show, I'm like making notes, making headlines. I write one or two sections where I'm already very sure on the narrative, such as with that one where I think it was really clear straight away. And then once we get to the intervals, I write a lot of the rest of it. Then once the qualifiers come, I finish it off. Hobbit Notes, thanks so much for the €2, says both the model and the odds got 10 out of 10. Remarkable. Well, yeah, it's the first time it's happened in a long time, I think. But it does mean that once again, for the third consecutive year, the model has outperformed the odds overall over the two semi-finals. I believe the odds got 18 and the model got 19, if I'm not mistaken. Tilly Facilities says, oh, hi Tilly. And I have seen your message that you're on TV later, but I didn't get a chance to reply because I was about to come on stream. I think she's a huge Gen Z magnet. Like I said, her fashion is so modern. She knows what's popular with younger fans. She's actually so cool, and don't get me started on her hair. Yeah, that's the thing, is she seemed like one of the most relatable performers on the night. There's an interesting question here about how that translates into votes. Can someone remove the advertising from the Twitch chat, please? Because if this follows the pattern of every other show in the world and every national selection, it's generally not the young people that vote in massive numbers. We saw this in Estonia this year, for example. We see at every election where younger people vote are much less likely to vote than older people. It's also an economic thing because younger people are less likely to have disposable income, less willing to spend 10 or 20 votes worth of money on the show. So yeah, she won me over, and I thought it was really excellent. And I'm going to do a poll on what you thought as well. So, Bulgaria. And by the way, how good is it that we got 2010's Bulgaria back again? Loved it. Liked it. Disliked it. Hated it. You are now allowed to vote, so please go and do just that. And you will have about 30 seconds to do so. We should have plenty of time to go through all of these, and then we will go through the running order. So please do not worry. Like I said, this stream will be a shorter one, about an hour and 20 minutes, going through until about 12:20, which is an hour and 7 minutes from now. That's just because I've got to make sure that we're full of energy for tonight, because I know that's the one where you guys are going to need me on my top form. Miss Mesmerism says, it's 5 a.m. in Vermont and insomnia strikes again. At least I have your stream to keep me company. Well, Miss Mesmerism, this is the first time I've ever streamed at this hour, and it clearly came at the perfect moment. Really glad you're here, and I really hope that this either helps with the insomnia on one hand, or on the other hand, entertains you and wakes you up enough that you're, full of energy and ready for the day nonetheless. By the way, at some point, a cup of coffee is going to appear. So please, you're going to have to excuse me. We didn't have much time to prepare because obviously needed to sleep as much as possible. So I haven't had my coffee this morning yet. That's also why you can hear my voice is very kind of croaky and gravelly this morning. So you have time to vote for Bulgaria. Still, make sure you do. And what's really interesting here is there seems to be a bit of a split between loved it and liked it. Where there isn't a split is the fact that almost everyone has chosen one of those two. Almost nobody disliked this at all, and that's really impressive. Cynthia says bangaranga as she pours the coffee. So, Andy Tandy says, announcing Czechia last was diabolical. The vocals, the staging, oh my God, I was so scared and couldn't breathe, but I'm so happy right now. Steve from Latvia says, Queen Alexandra absolutely killed it yesterday. We'll talk about that one in a moment. Thank you both so much. I was actually with the team from Czechia when the result was announced. So some of the dancers alongside their press team and their backstage team were in the press center, all watching on the screens in there for the final result. And I was stood with all of them as we were all waiting and waiting and waiting. I didn't get nervous until right at the very end because nothing unexpected happened at all. Thanks, honey. See, look. There you go. And now you guys have seen Cynthia on stream this week. Did you see her? And then obviously massive, massive relief when it came out. We were always expecting it, I think. I was certainly expecting it. And the qualifiers were very much following the logic we'd put out ahead of time. I just, there was just this little fear inside of us, I think. Azalea Woodley says, Romania is my new favourite now, and it's not even close. And the writing might be poop, says Lilith, but the quiz happened to be the perfect time for me to pop upstairs and make 2 coffees and get comfy again. Big win. That's the thing. On one hand, I take your point. On the other hand, if a show has a 10-minute break where everyone goes, great, I can go to the toilet now, I'm not sure that's a good sign about what was, in that 10 minutes. Next, let's talk about Romania. This one I think we were very happy about. Again, this was a super obvious one. It was safe all along. And again, just like Bulgaria, I think we've really uncovered someone extremely talented through this contest this year. She is so good at this. And I think there is going to be a really big career for her because this genre of music and this style in this genre of music is something with a lot of potential. It's the kind of thing with potential for fandom. It's kind of thing with potential for, big shows that, with a giant international appeal that gets everywhere. Breaking news, says B. Druktura 2026 confirmed for August. I will try to be there. I swapped details with Eurovision Asia's head of marketing yesterday in the hope that we can get something sorted out. So I'm working on it already. So let's hope. Keep your fingers crossed. I do think the staging for Romania was fantastic. And it told the story of the song so well. I think it actually went a long way to undo a lot of the assumptions that came before the contest about this. Because when we actually got to it on the night... and Nick Johan, thank you so much. I'm going to talk about that in a moment once we get to Denmark. Because how it looked on the night, it clearly felt like a mental struggle, argument between her and her inner demons. And the fact they made a physical manifestation of that on stage was really, really great. I should say, many of you will know that in the past, myself and Jan Bors, who was part of the staging team for this, have not exactly seen eye to eye. Most prominently, we had a very big argument, very public argument in 2024. I should say that after the qualifications last night, I actually saw Jan in the press center, congratulated him. We shook hands, and he also said that he thinks I'm doing really great stuff with the channel, and he congratulated me too. We sort of apologized, expressed regret over some of the things we said in 2024, and that, and that it was time to put it past us. And so we have done that. So beef squashed. World peace. Enemies to lovers indeed. No, it was, and I have to say, and he was very, very kind about the channel and the community we've built here, and I really appreciated that too. So there we go. That we solved that like adults. We shook hands. We gave each other a hug. Apologized to each other for some of the things we'd said, and I consider that firmly closed. I wish him, the team, Alexander, all the very best of luck for the final. Peace and love. We are truly united by music. It's the only people actually united by music this week. Myself and Jan Bors. Everyone else in Europe is arguing, but we've sorted it out. Next up, we have Czechia, and of course, I was just talking about this. The fact they left it until last was not nice. I think the thing is everyone knew it was going to qualify. And, we sort of, we were standing there waiting for it to come out, and it was tough, right? Because on one hand, everything's going as you expect it to go. There's been no big shock that means that, something bad is about to happen, or that guarantees that we're going to have a big loss. For that reason, I felt confident all the way along. That said, when you get to the last one, you're always going to have that feeling. What if something strange happens? There was songs like Luxembourg and so on where you think, okay, well, if they have an audience, then it could pull us through. Oh, no poll for Romania. Let me do one now. Sorry. So sorry. Let me see what you think about Romania. Loved it. Liked it. Disliked it. Hated it. There we go. Starts. There's your poll. I'll continue talking about Czechia on this. You guys remember 2 nights ago, I had myself and Jay really had a big moment watching the Czechia performance. Jay burst into tears. He's not here now, but if he was, he'd tell you he burst into tears again last night. It was so emotional for him and for me. It was just gorgeous, and I genuinely think he could have come close to winning the jury in this semi. Lucy Vampiria, thank you so much for the super chat, says, before the semi-final performance, Czechia was my 31st place. Now it's my 10th. What an amazing performance. Yeah, I mean, it was stunning. It really came together perfectly. And being there with the team, you could tell as well, they were so happy with how it went. Like their ideas had come to fruition. And I think I don't have the full picture, but I understand that in order to make this work with the prop and everything, the Czechs really pushed it in terms of what they could get into a small budget. And I think it really came off. This is such a testament to what the delegations with less resources are able to do. And, we've said for years that the Czech delegation is resourceful, they're plucky, they're creative, they make the best without having to have, some of the riches that some other delegations have. And that is really special, and it makes it all the more special to me that they could do something so beautiful and tender. I also think that Daniel Žižka, as someone who's so early in his career, has done something incredible. Really incredible. Hobbit Note says, watch Semi 2 with a friend who knew nothing of Eurovision. His favourites, Romania and Albania. Also had a fight with him about the jury voting system. Well, I'll tell you what, without the juries, I don't know how much of a Eurovision we'd have right now. So be careful what you wish for, to your friend. Sonica says, thank you for making Eurovision season so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Hope you will all join me, of course, this evening for what is the most fun and most deranged stream of the entire season. I'm going to close the poll on Romania now. And also, nobody disliked it, same as Bulgaria, but more people loved this. So you liked this even more than you liked Bulgaria, which is interesting because I was wondering whether Bulgaria might emerge as a favourite after this. I really thought they did amazingly well. Ollie Not Pro says, this semi was a bloodbath. I loved Switzerland and it was heartbreaking not to see it go through. Also, I'm really enjoying my first Eurovision in real life. What kind of Eurovision activities do you recommend today? There is an Austrian history exhibition. In the Austrian House of History, which includes a section on Eurovision. I will say though that their coverage of the boycott at the end is very minimal and very poor. So you're going to want to go to a different exhibition if you want to see what a more faithful representation of that. There was another one. I think it was that there's a museum or an exhibition somewhere about Austrian queer history that I think covers it in more detail. But I can't. It's called Queen.
But like as in Wien.
Oh, like Queen as in Q and then Wien. And that's the exhibition, is it?
Yes.
Is that also in the History Museum?
No, that's a separate museum.
It's a separate museum.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know the exhibition to Google. So Ollie Not Pro, I would recommend going and seeing that. Cynthia went and saw it the other day and she really loved it. So, Higher Plot is asking, will we have the model today? The model comes tomorrow. So the model will make its final prediction tomorrow afternoon on the basis of the jury show tonight. Next out, we had, and I'm going to do the poll and check here while I talk about Cyprus. Oh, got to keep remembering to do these polls. Cyprus. Loved it, liked it. No, not Cyprus, Czechia. Gosh, you can tell it's early, can't you? I'm all over the place. Loved it, liked it, disliked it, hated it. Right. So, Cyprus. I'm going to try and, do this in a way that is not overly, just wailing on it for the sake of wailing on it. But I have to say, I think this is one of the most technically inept performances I've ever seen at Eurovision. It was painfully amateur in its execution. It's not that Antigone can't sing. She can. We know this. We've seen videos of her singing before. She's released music before. But it's really clear she cannot sing and dance at the same time. Her breath control is absolutely non-existent. She was out of breath right from the start. So there's clearly so many clerical, fundamental problems that made this performance amateurish, and any self-respecting juror shouldn't have voted for this, because there is one category where the things you could award credit to are so vacant, so absent, that it becomes pointless. I think this must have qualified narrowly. I think it will have qualified with the televote because the song is a banger, right? I listened to it a lot in the run-up to the contest in the studio version. But this was vocally, both last night and in the jury show, just awful. If anything, last night was even worse than it was in the juries. So I'm a little confused. Well done to the producer and the sound engineer and the staging team and everyone else, because despite Antigone's best efforts, it still qualified. But it was really amateurish. Really, really amateurish. Kian, thank you so much for the gifted sub, which Maddie Erickson has received. It was just, I've learned not to get angry about such things, so I don't feel overly pressed about it. But I'm more just confused. I'm looking forward to seeing this breakdown to see how many points came from the UK, because I think that there's going to be sort of a large vote from the UK because she's known here more than other places, known here, you know what I mean, and so on. Uzbek Spy says Cypriot Eurofans were posting the performance with the studio cut put over the top. I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it, about how this went. Someone asks if I have a sore throat. A little bit, but also it's just the morning and my voice has gone through a lot this week. It'll be different later. Yeah, I mean, Stephen says, Gabe, don't be so harsh. Antigone gave me hope that one day I might get to be on that stage. And I did see a tweet last night that said, and it was funny, it was kind of mean. Let me see if I can find it. Because obviously, social media had a bit of a field day with this, as you'd imagine, from such a performance. And there was one that really, I really got on board with. This is from a Eurofan in Serbia. Here we are. What I appreciate about Antigone is how respectfully she treated the notes. She made sure not to hit a single one. Oh, gosh. you know, this is the thing, right? She looked glamorous, no doubt about that. She looked great. The staging piece was nicely done. But the actual performance itself was such a horror. She could not even stay in time. Like, she got significantly out and had to work her way back again. She was breathy. These are all the sort of realities of this. I've never met her. I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person. And, I'm happy for her that she got to have this moment. But I think we all saw the same thing last night. And I think we were surprised to see the name come out when the draw approached. So let's move on to the next one. And Denmark. And people were talking about Denmark before. So I'm going to go back and find the super chat to make sure that... there we go. So Nick Johan says about the odds. And so this is relevant to Denmark. So I'm going to refresh the page. And you will see Denmark has fallen to 6th in the odds on the basis of the fact that they've put them first in the running order. We'll come back to this, but it's worth mentioning now. You're going to have your poll. Oh my gosh. You guys it's the running order, Lisa. That's why Denmark has gone down to 6th. You guys are like feral this morning. You've only just woken up and you're all like, polls, now. So, Cyprus. You all love Czechia. Again, I left it open through that entire thing. 51% loved it and only 12% disliked it or hated it. So Cyprus, loved it, liked it, disliked it, and hated it. All right. Send. Eric Carter says, I think about polls when I wake up too. Me too. Poland is a beautiful country. So, Denmark. What did Denmark do to hurt ORF that they put them first? I thought this was Søren's best performance since he's arrived in... not Basel, Vienna. I thought it was his best performance since he arrived here, the most secure vocally. Felt like he was holding back a little bit before now. But now, I think, this was the best it was. One thing I really noticed, for those of you who've seen the national final performance, is that the backing track clearly had to be toned down. The kind of choral backing he had in the final chorus was gone, essentially. There we go, finished my coffee. So, I think it's... it's unfortunate because on one hand, he delivers his best performance for about 2 hours. I feel like he might be able to win the contest. I filmed my video in that time and then they released the running order. But yeah, so it is ORF because I said that it could win. Immediately the curse struck. The fastest acting curse of all time. It is strange that they are so early, but at the same time, I think we should say that on the surface level, it was a really fantastic performance. I thought Søren did really well. I don't think it's totally out the running. Obviously, it's very tough to win from first, but counterintuitively, if you look at the sort of midpoint in terms of running order spots, where essentially the 13th and 14th, if you consider it will be the 13th best running order spot as being the midpoint, where everything below that, so the 14th best down to 25th best running order spot is a negative one, and 12th up to number one best is a positive one. Position one is actually in the top half of that. It's an above average because people often, they tune in, they watch the first song, then they go get their tea and coffee. And so 2, 3, 4 are really bad. 1 is actually not as bad. And we should remember we've had lots of semi-final openers qualifying as well. So it's not totally over, but it's slightly over. Prince says, has anyone thought about voting system people can abuse? You can send 10 max votes. However, this is per bank card. I have multiple credit cards. I was able to send 30. If only there was some way to stop this. If only many of us had suggested that there were many ways to fix this problem. Oh well. So I would say it's not over, but it is almost over. And I hope very much that it doesn't completely kill off Denmark's chances. By the way, the poll on Cyprus is done, and it's like an inverse of what we've seen so far. 3% loved it, 17% liked it, 46% disliked it, and 34% hated it. There we go. And on Twitch, only 5% of you in total either liked it or loved it. Everyone else thought it was mid or you hated it, or you disliked it. So not going too well. I'm going to do a poll for Denmark. They really are. It's non-stop today. You've got to stay on your toes because you've got lots of voting to do. And we don't have much time to do it. So, loved it. Vote for Denmark. Liked it. Disliked it. And hated it. All right, here we go. Next poll starting now. And Tom is in chat. Hello, Tom. Hey, Gabe, do you know when the dress rehearsal is today? I actually think... I don't, but I think Cynthia does. Honey?
Yes.
When's the dress rehearsal today?
1:30. Tom be there at 12:30. Don't be late again.
Okay, so Cynthia says it's at 1:30. Tom, you need to be in the press centre at 12:30. Don't be late, she says. There you go. There's your answer. This is the thing is, I don't know anything. I just ask Cynthia and she has all the facts. The poll is up now for Denmark. So, Paulo says, Italy's right always had the limit of votes per person at 5, so the reduction from 20 to 10 has no impact whatsoever in Italy, and we've seen the landslide percentages Israel can command. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's true or not, because I haven't heard that before, but it does say a lot that there's a deeper thing going on here. Gomer says, just think Switzerland deserved qualification more than Cyprus. I think so did Latvia. I think vastly technically superior performances, but at the same time, right, you can't blame Antigone for getting enough votes to go through, right? I think there is a point here also to say, look, people voted for her. People chose to put her there because we all know the juries definitely didn't. Like, it was, so if the public has chosen this, the public has chosen this. I struggle to begrudge it. I think we should obviously talk about the performance as we do and not shy away from it. But I think that, ultimately, everyone who qualifies, with one obvious exception in Israel, has done so because people have picked up their phones and voted for them in an organic manner. Bookpoo says, good morning. I just woke up. My God, what is the running order? Don't worry, we're coming onto it soon. Let's talk about Australia while we're waiting for the Denmark poll to complete. And I should say that now this is the one that has broken clear of the pack, and at the moment, this is what the odds suspect is going to challenge Finland, if anyone, for the victory. I thought Delta Goodrem has held back in every rehearsal, even the jury show. I think she has held back every single time, until last night when she let rip and she sounded extraordinary. This is the headline from my video, which is coming out today. It's coming out at 1 p.m, so make sure you're there to see it live on this channel. Thank you so much, Yamkovic, for the 10 Shlotti, and says, I had 2 heart attacks, Poland and Czechia being the last qualification, but it all worked out, right? I think this is as good as Delta has been on the Eurovision stage. I think it shows just how measured and controlled she's been all along, peaking at the right moment, as we knew she would. She's showing her class, showing her style. I think, right now, I think this is fair to say that this is the challenger. This wins the jury, and then if it wins the jury, then it is potentially our winner. But only if it wins the jury, and only if the sort of, the demographics that we've talked about who are most likely to televote for this, that's the late 30s and the 40s, people who grew up with Delta Goodrem, or who went to uni or in their 20s when Delta Goodrem became successful at first, if they pick up their phones and vote. At the same time, I've got a theory about the jury voting that I'll get to. Let's have a poll. You loved Denmark. 55% on YouTube and 44% on Twitch said you loved it. And most of the rest of you said you liked it. Next, Australia. I'm typing in the poll. Australia. Loved it. Liked it. Disliked it. Hated it. There we go. All right, you are able to vote now. You will find that this morning's stream is very much like being at Benidorm Fest. You are completely surrounded by poll. So, you have a little bit of time to have a look at this and to vote. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk about my fiance's favorite, Ukraine. And I'm really glad to see she was unwell during the week, but she was much, much better last night. It was the strongest performance I have seen, in fact. She, in my opinion, dramatically improved. She held the long note all the way through and didn't take a breath. She was slick, you know. I thought it really came together at the right moment for her. Qualification was never a question for Ukraine, but I think definitely this has helped give it some jury potential that will push it up the finishing positions. I think definitely top 10 is where they should be aiming. It wasn't perfect yet, that's for sure. But at the same time, I think we have to remember, given that she was unwell, given that there were some, given that she's only just coming back to health, it's, I think, really in a good place at the moment. And she will be better today again. Lots of vocal rest, lots of lemon tea. It's only going to get better and better. And of course, with Leleka, with Delta Gudrum, and with Daniel Zizka and others, given that tonight is so key to their chances, I really, really wonder what they are going to do, whether they're going to have any big notes up their sleeve beyond what we've already seen. That's one of the things we're going to be looking up tonight. Stephen says she missed the high notes. She missed it worse in the previous rehearsal, and it's clear that she's getting better. She has been sick and she's been unwell, and we know she can get there. The whole song sounded much more in control and like she wasn't having to force it last night than the night before. I'm more looking at like what's the trend, because for a song like Ukraine, where they're always going to qualify, the semi-final performance has some importance, but if you're moving on the right track, then it doesn't matter if you're only at 85%, right? You can afford to have that little leeway to get before you get to the final. Others are in that position too. You guys liked Israel. God, where did that come from? Australia. You did not like Israel, and nor do I. You liked Australia. 44% said liked it. 37% said loved it. 15% dislike. 4% hate. About similar proportions on Twitch as well. That is one of the most unfortunate misspeaking of the entire week. Everyone in chat is like, no. Gosh, you can tell it's the morning, can't you? I keep, as I'm saying my sentences in my head, I keep going to pronounce, like, say words wrong or say things in the wrong order and having to sort of put them back together again. There's a reason I never usually film and I never usually do live streams in the morning, because I'm not a morning person at all. It usually takes me 2 to 3 hours to, pull myself together. I started streaming about 45 minutes after I got out of bed. So that's unfortunate. We're going to see that on Euromix in 1 hour, and it's going to say, ESC Gabe supports Israel. That's literally what they're going to do. And now I've said that, they're going to clip that as well. So, there we go. Just to be clear, I do not. And maybe if they're watching, I would advise that they and other Israeli outlets hold their broadcaster to account for rigging this contest and hold their government to account for committing a genocide. Anyway, Nicholas gives me €2 and says, tomato for you. Well, if you want to pay me €2 to throw tomatoes at me, you know what? I'm cheap and shameless. So if you give me €2 and we shake hands and agree, then maybe. Anyway, let's move forwards to the next song. I need to do a poll on Ukraine, don't I, before we move to talk about Albania, which is a really beautiful performance. Here we are. Right, so Ukraine. And we've got loved it, liked it, disliked it, and hated it. Start. There you go. You haven't missed Malta. Don't worry. We haven't talked about Malta. We've got these 3 left to talk about. So you have time now to choose your votes for Ukraine. While we're talking about that, by the way, there's a few people asking if Australia could host, if it could win. The rules would suggest no, because it has to be in the European broadcasting area. But. Do you really think, if they win, that SBS isn't going to try. I wonder whether we might have a few weeks where we don't know, where there are discussions, and then maybe an arrangement will be reached. But the thing is, I think they'd have to front up a lot of money to cover a lot of the excess fees that would be incurred by the delegations to get to Australia. Beg your pardon. MGV says, the night before Russia killed 24 people, including 3 kids in Kiev, and Leleka is a very empathetic person. I think the news influenced her. I think she... yeah, very much, and it was clear speaking to her, she felt the sort of, the spirit of Ukrainians kind of on her shoulders a little bit, you know, in that she felt it was very important, and she felt she was carrying a wider voice, not just for her, but for, you know, all the people in Ukraine who are experiencing the same things right now, and who have gone through years of aggression from Russia. And yeah, so I do think there was I found it quite emotional for this reason, because this song has so much hope and determination. Christian asks, and thank you for the super chat, who is better singer, Zevin or Antigone? Okay, Antigone might not have been great. She was better than Zevin. She was definitely better than Zevin. But I will say Alice from Albania was much better than both of them. I thought this was a really exceptional performance last night. And I have to say, I think the closing passage is beautiful. I think the subtitles are good. The performance as a whole is strong. But for sure, that highlight has to be that moment when his mum removes his sunglasses. And it's incredible the way he goes from this hard-shelled, you know, slightly unsympathetic character to, you know, almost like a boy again in a moment. It was such a beautiful way of illustrating the relationship. And yeah, it was gorgeous. I thought it was really gorgeous. Really deserved qualifier. I mean, it always was going to qualify. But I think this one would have been fairly comfortable. I think people really connected with it. And I think it came at least 8th in the semi-final. It made me emotional in the press centre. It made a lot of people emotional, actually. They definitely should have, the subtitles, people saying, I couldn't really read them. Yeah, it was like white on a sort of light yellow, which meant they got a bit mixed, but, you know, it was generally fine. Ukraine, 54% of you like it, 28% love it, 16% dislike, 2% hate. The general atmosphere has to be that you guys seem to have thought that most people did a pretty good job last night, with the exception of Cyprus. Everyone else, almost everyone has said they either liked or loved the performance. I think that's a good sign. And I will say in general, the quality musically of this semi-final was vastly above the first semi-final. The first semi-final started at breakneck speed, then we got to song 7 or 8 and it fell off a cliff, right? This one felt a lot more balanced. A lot more balanced. And it just shows that I think they should just abolish draws in semi-finals and just let the producers choose, because you could have had a much better first semi-final if you'd spread out those favourites a little more. Lucas says, as a Czech Swede, I am so happy right now. Yes, indeed, it was fantastic. It was really fantastic. The Finnish commentator said that Albania used an actor instead of Alice's mum because Alice got too emotional singing the song with his own mother on stage. There we go. I didn't actually know that. I thought it was his mum. There we go. It shows it works. It shows that it works. He'd never removed his glasses in any promo until now. Danda, what do you mean I didn't accept your payola? I don't have any notification here that you've given me any payola. In any case, you guys are going to get a poll for Albania now. So, Albania. Loved it, liked it, disliked it, hated it. There we go. In the meantime, we're going to move on to Malta. If there was any of the 10 qualifiers where people felt like maybe got the spooks a little bit, it feels like this week people freaked out a little. Like, it didn't quite look as people were expecting. And to be fair, I share that in that it didn't look exactly what I saw in that video that is on my channel, and what finally came out on the stage did not look exactly the same. There were notable differences, and there were things that I expected to look a little different. Like the Zoe trope, for example, the spinning at the end was a little slower than what I saw. But there we go. In any case, ultimately, I think it was well enough executed that this kind of went safely through. You know, I think it wouldn't have been... it wouldn't surprise me if there was essentially, you had these 10 qualifiers, and then maybe Latvia and Switzerland holding on a little bit, and then a massive gulf to everyone else. And I think Malta will have been in the top 10 with pretty much every jury. Even if it's just like 2 or 3 points each, that really adds up. People are saying Malta are buying views on YouTube. So I think I should explain a little bit as to what happens when you buy adverts on YouTube. Those still count as you can pay to promote any video on YouTube. Any. Even if you didn't post it. So in this case, it's clear that the Maltese have paid for the Eurovision channel videos to be promoted on YouTube. YouTube will still add, when people see it as an advert, people still add that to the view count. So it's not buying views in the case of like view botting. It is people actually viewing it. It's just they haven't been given a choice to view it. It's appeared as an advert. So that's what they're doing. That's why you're getting those weird view counts. They've bought lots of adverts all over the place. I think we all agree it's excessive. There's too much advertising. I would much rather see less of it. And I think we need to change the rules on this. But they haven't been view botting, which I feel like is maybe the suggestion that's in there. It's not against the rules. It's not legal. We can definitely question about whether it is ethical. But that is why their view counts have been increasing so much. They have been buying them as adverts. You can find all of these details on the Google Ads Transparency Center, and you can see who's paying for it. This is relevant information. I think definitely, though, it has turned off some Eurofans from this performance. I think there is an element of people thinking they're doing too much, and that is fair enough. Catherine says, wait, you're telling me I could buy advertising for any video? I could do it to Azerbaijan and confuse people. Yes. Yes. Literally, yes. You could do that if you wanted to. But yes, so they're paying for advertising. That's how it's happening. I really think we need budget limits next year because I think these kinds of things will keep happening, and it's just for the good of the contest and its integrity to limit this somewhat. Or alternatively, do something like ban the word vote, right, from the advertising. You know, so people can advertise the songs, but they can't call on people to vote for them at all. So, overall, I think safely through. The performance came together nicely. It looked slick. It looked professional. I don't think this is going to be a high-end challenger because it hasn't quite come together on the stage to the sort of high degree that I hoped. But I think there's lots to be proud of. By the way, I'm currently getting, I don't know if you can see this. The sun has just risen in such a way that it's now right in my eyes and you get this ridiculous thing on my face, see? And I can't really get out of it, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Lord Campy says, thank you for the streams covering the week. Rooting so much for Romania and Moldova, because we Germans finally get the perfect starting spot for fire. We will talk about that in the middle. No, I think you shouldn't be able to say you're running out of spot. You shouldn't be able to say choose number or vote number. Nothing that implies you are inducing someone to make a decision. So Malta poll is on the way. Albania, you guys loved it. 50% love it, 30%, 38% like it. And on Twitch, you liked it, but you didn't love it. Interesting. So, Malta. Add options. Loved it, liked it, disliked it, hated it. Start poll. So, there you go. Like I say, I do think it's a shame because I have a lot of time for this song. I have a lot of time for Aiden. I do think, God, it's getting worse. Look. Oh, there we go. It's faded a little bit. Thank gosh, that was really bad. I think that a lot of the noise around this is maybe taking away from the performance a little bit, is muting its shine a little. And I think, it just shows that there is, I think people are very sensitive to this now. And I wouldn't have done it if I was in the same position. Anonymous says, I have seen more adverts for Malta here in the UK than our own entry. Yes, including that big one outside Old Trafford in Manchester, which is quite something. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate your support. I did also see, once again, a bunch of people after this being like, ESC Gabe lied to us. And it's like, I saw what I saw. I'm not going to take back my reaction to when I first saw this. What I saw in that creative meeting was really gorgeous and really incredible. The reaction you saw was 100% authentic. Cynthia was in the room with me. She had the same reaction. It really moved both of us when we saw the way in which they'd been doing that spinning shot in rehearsals. I'm not sure why it wasn't like that in the end. But also, you massively overestimate my power. Do you think anyone is voting for anyone because I told them to? The answer is definitely no. I have opinions. I've always been clear that this is a channel based on opinion. I am not a news website, right? If you want straight down the line, unbiased reporting on the Eurovision Song Contest, on a news point of view, there are plenty of sites that do that. That's not why I'm here, and I don't think that's why most of you are here. We talk about this stuff, right? I see it, it's like we're sitting around and sharing our opinions, talking to each other. I try to share some of yours as well. I like the song. I like the performance. I have done from right at the very start. I really liked, even in the national final, I said, well, the top two were exactly who I wanted to be the top two. And I felt like we won whoever of those two won. So I'm not sorry for it at all. I'm not sorry for it at all. And quite frankly, I think having the opportunity to give you that kind of insight into the creative process is something I'd love to do more. I would love to do it with 5 or 10 delegations a year and give you some of the motivations and the things that people are trying to get at. I think it enhances the performance. It makes people appreciate things more if they can, see what the creative people behind it are trying to do. People are underestimating how much of a wine mum Gabe is. You know what? I'm kind of starting to feel that too. Final qualifier is Norway. Norway, I have to say, I was really proud of Jonas. We spoke to him this week, and that interview was on the stream, I believe, on Sunday. He's been ill all week. You guys probably could detect it last night, that he was managing his voice. In the jury show, he was managing it even more. The fact that he managed to pull it together, the fact that he made it happen, even when things were far from ideal for him, is a real testament to his professionalism, to his ability to adapt and not get overly stressed, not lose his cool under a really tough situation. He pulled it together and he made it work, and that was really impressive. Lisa says, as a Norwegian, I'm so relieved and happy. I think my neighbours could hear me scream when we went through to the final. I was worried, for sure, because it was on the edge, but after I saw those odds just creep up a little bit and get a little stronger, after he performed, I calmed down. It was a much better performance, and he pulled it all together. Jonas is like, I'm too sexy for my staging, so sexy it hurts, says Ivan. Firstly, great song, a song I miss, one of my favourite songs by the Sugar Babes, and a song that I played a lot when I was a kid. And yeah, it is funny, of course, this was, he got Erica Vickman. He was censored. So we have one more poll. In general, you liked but didn't love Malta. So I feel like there was a sense that maybe it was a little underwhelming, that it fell a little short of expectations. For me, being honest, like I said, a tiny bit yes for me too. Christian says, Aiden paid TikTok influencers in Romania. We also had a case where a Greek influencer came out and said that a marketing agency had approached them and said that they'd been offered money to promote it too. Which is, in my opinion, I don't like that either. And I think that's something, paid promotion of that kind, maybe it should be clamped down on. We have one more poll, which is about Norway, and I'm going to put that on now. So, I need to type in. Sorry, I right said Fred. Haven't they gone a bit? I'm pretty sure they've gone a bit mad and now tweet all kinds of insane conspiracies. And also, I preferred the Sugar Babes version. Sorry. Norway. Loved it. Liked it. Disliked it. Hated it. No, but literally, if you have a song where the lyrics are essentially just repeatedly saying, everyone thinks I'm really sexy, it's just gloriously trashy and camp. Like, just to be clear, to demonstrate my point, let me get the lyrics of Get Sexy by the Sugar Babes and explain this to you. I know this is a bit early for things to get this unhinged, for me to be doing these kinds of lyric reasons, but come on. This is quite extraordinary. When I'm walking down the street, they say, hey, sexy. When I'm dancing in the club, they say, hey, sexy. When I'm driving in my car or I'm standing at the bar, it don't matter where I are, they say, hey, sexy. It's masterful. I'm too sexy in this club, too sexy in this club, so sexy it hurts. If you feel sexy in this club, then go ahead, toast it up. Like, what does it even mean? Toast it up. Anyway, back to the point. We've now gone through all 10 qualifiers. I want to quickly say, shout out to our 5 non-qualifiers. You should have seen in the press centre, when Jiva shouted Bussy after the performance, people were literally celebrating. Everyone was like, yes, she did it. I wish I had a video. It was hilarious. But yes, it don't matter where I are, they say, hey, sexy. So, from that, time for something to traumatize you. Let's look at the running order, and so many thoughts instantly. Let's start from the top. Denmark. Poor Denmark. What did Denmark do to ORF, to the EBU, to deserve this? It is a critical blow, and it's going to make it very difficult to win. At the same time, it's a better running order slot than anything from like 2 until 7. So, not a disaster. The Germany second place is hilarious. Even funnier is Israel third. And I think this does actually say a lot that Israel has been clobbered to the maximum degree. I feel like putting them second is too on the nose. Putting them third is as close as you can get to that without doing it. And it's earlier than they've been the last 2 years. You guys in general liked Norway, by the way. 52% liked, 21 loved, 21 disliked. So, you sort of have, it's this weird thing where you have Denmark, Kia Asylum, Albania. In all seriousness, I think Germany and Belgium, it's accomplished. The performances have upgraded the songs, but it is a bit of a graveyard from 2 till 4, and I think it indicates pretty clearly how they feel about those songs. I do wonder also whether they were keen to avoid a Sylvester Belt situation where someone who'd been very vocal on the issue of Israel in the contest went out after them and felt, a not good feeling on stage. After that, we then have Albania. I think kind of in a fine position. Having Belgium before you is pretty good. It's going to mean that you have space to do well. But 5th is really, really early, and it also doesn't help that Greece is going to come on afterwards and maybe take away the thunder. I think it's going to be so maximalist, so everywhere, that people are going to forget as soon as Greece comes on what happened before it. Hopefully Albania will stick with enough people. The other thing is that Greece is very much a all maximalist, like maybe slightly too overwhelming. And in that sense, maybe Ukraine is fortunate to be right after it, where it's a little simpler, a little easier to digest, a little less, overwhelming, And so I think not too many reasons to be mad. Greece, though, is very early. And I do wonder whether a televote magnet early is in Israel's orbit, much in the same way that Europapa was going to be in 2024. They put it right after Israel in that running order that year. I think they are trying to make people forget about it by having this Greece, Ukraine, Australia run. Australia, I think, has done well. Something totally different after it in the form of Serbia. A competing ballad before it, but one that sounds quite different. 8th is late enough. You can win from 8th. Eurodive Tiger says, opening Denmark killed a lot of my excitement I had about Bulgaria doing so well. No, it's not over, but it feels like they killed a favourite. Well, I think, you got to remember, it's a lot less important once you get into the middle of the show. At the start of the show, it's tough for Denmark. Bulgaria is fine. Serbia had the fortunate thing, in my opinion, of standing out basically anywhere because it's so different. And I think having Malta and Czechia afterwards helps amplify its effect. I will say that also for people who are wanting something soft, I'd prefer to be in Czechia's position than Malta because you've had a little bit of time to recover and reset. Bulgaria, I think, stands out no matter where you put it. You need something to sort of build the energy again after Czechia and Malta, and in that sense, it's good. It also gets people in the mood for Croatia. You sort of get into this quite high energy run now, and this is when they're clearly trying to hype people up, build people up. And then you go into this run. Croatia, UK, France, Moldova, Finland. Given that Poland and Lithuania are after Finland, I cannot imagine a more transparently pro-Finland running order than this. They get people as full as energy as possible. They build people up for the big favourite, and then they give people 2 songs that aren't going to challenge high up just after in order to let them reflect on that they just saw. Nothing happens in the first minute of the Polish song, so we're still just sat in the aura of what has just happened. In my opinion, it's good. All of these songs, can be happy with their placements because they're in the middle, but this is a clear shot in the arm for Finland. Eurodara says, put Denmark and Greece close to Israel to hide it. Yeah, I think there may be an element of this. There may be an element of this. Greece, number 6, is giving death by slot 6, Malta 21. Ferto will do much better in the televote than Malta 21, but it killed Malta's chances that year. Yes, I think there are elements of this for sure. And Malta's, there's a whole lot of analysis and societal analysis we could do about how Malta did in 2021. So Finland is the very obvious big winner here. I think for France, it's maybe unfortunate to be followed by Moldova and Finland, because by the time you're done with Finland, everyone will be talking about those two. In any case, I'm not sure France can still win anyway. I talked about this in my video. Like I said, Poland and Lithuania are kind of in the afterglow of Finland. And it's fine positions, but you wouldn't want to be right there. Sweden, then, is much more fortunate because it has enough room to breathe, and it has Cyprus right after it, which will mean that Felicia, even if she's still sick, will sound fine by comparison. Of those last 4, I think Romania is the one that clearly has the best slot here. It is totally in the clear. It has none of its rivals around it, and it's really going to stand out. What this means, of course, is that then the odds look as follows. Romania in the top 5 on the eve of the show. Romania in the top 5 in the odds to win the entire thing on the eve of the show. You're going to see in my video in an hour, they, I think that for them, top 10 is success. Top 5 is the stretch goal. Do I think they can make that stretch goal? Yes, absolutely. What a perfect running order slot for Romania, and what a gift to them, on their return to the contest, that they're able to stand out in this way. Sonic says, ORF not hiding their favourites, including placing themselves last, is pathetic. So I actually have to disagree with you. Thank you for the super chat. The Austrian position was drawn at random. Also, if ORF was choosing its favourites based on the fact that their now former president went on a little soiree to Israel with their president, if ORF had any say in where Israel was, I think they'd be like 20th or 21st, and they'd have a plum spot. They haven't got that, which suggests that actually ORF has not got their way here. So I have to disagree with your assessment, but I really appreciate your support. So that's where we're at, and it means that we kind of have this final assessment. I am going to go off soon just because we do need to get to the arena, but I want to quickly look ahead to the next couple of days before we do that. This is your top 10 in the odds as we enter into the final. And I have to say, while it feels like a clear sort of few front runners have emerged, outside of that, you have this huge, quite even kind of territory for, I would say, sort of 5th in the odds down to 14th, where they really are interchangeable in their position. And, there's a lot of upwards and downwards mobility. I think it's going to be an exciting set of results for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the one thing that is going to undermine it is that just like last year should have been the most exciting set of results to watch in a long time. It wasn't, because we had that spectre hanging over us right till the very end. Let me say what I've been saying the whole week about Israel's position in this show. It's clear, in my opinion, from the running order, that someone somewhere knows what would happen if Israel wins this contest. Senpai Kush, I'll answer your super chat in a moment. Thank you so much for it. If Israel does win tomorrow, it will be illegitimate. We all know that this song is not a song that under normal circumstances would ever be with a chance of winning Eurovision. If we see that happen tomorrow, that result should be rejected, participating broadcasters should reject it, and urgent investigations should be held into the voting that actually go into depth. Because if we see results that are probabilistically, statistically impossible, like we did with the Spanish televote that came out this week from last year, then it is very obvious that that result should be rejected. And if the organisers don't reject it, then we will. I should say now that, of course, hopefully it is self-evident I would not consider covering a contest in Israel. You will not be seeing me there. And I don't think either, if there was a contest hosted elsewhere where they did this kind of in praise of Israel thing, that would be nauseating. And I don't think any of us would really want to watch that either. In any case, let me say this now. I do not think Israel will win the Eurovision Song Contest under any circumstances. Any circumstances. Jury points maybe 50. And that alone makes it impossible. What I hope then for the next couple of days is that we get to recognize the brilliance of all these other artists, that we get to celebrate them, and that we get at the very least a top 3 that is absent of political manipulation. So, that is that on that. I do not think it's going to happen. I think the Israeli upper limit in terms of points is maybe 330, and that would require them to score 280 with the televote. I think that is a little high given the dynamics of this year. Nero, thank you so much for the $50. That is super, super generous, and I appreciate all of your support. My winner, Albania, qualified, and I know he did that shit comfortably after destroying me emotionally. Time to spend irresponsibly. Thank you for all the reporting this week, Gabe. It's been a treat to catch the streams. Thank you so much, Nero, for all of the timestamps you've been doing under the streams as well. I know it's been helping so many people navigate when they want to see specific conversations, and it really is so, so appreciated. So I'm going to ask everyone to say thank you, Nero, in chat. 12 Punkt says, expectation for Israel's jury points. We just said, thank you so much for your support. About 50. Senpai Chris says, our Vibe coming on tomorrow. Vibe are coming on tonight at the same time. I'm not sure they know what time they're meant to be on. They definitely want to be here, but I think they're going to show up at a random surprise point, and that will just be how it is. Any chance of a Delta interview, says Once Woozy. Unfortunately not, it's too late in the day. That said, if she wins, I'm sure we will speak to her over the next year. Thank you so, so much. So, as we go into the next 2 days, let's celebrate these other artists. Let's celebrate the things that are still there to love about this competition. And let's totally reject whatever illegitimate result Israel receives. There is no such thing as a legitimate victory for Israel in this context. The well has been poisoned. You cannot respect their televote score no matter what. The first thing that we should do, if somehow it is allowed to happen, is to point to it and reject it outright. That is what I will do the following day if it happens. If the EBU then chooses to allow the contest to be in Israel or in honor of Israel, then it is not a contest that I will cover. I have not boycotted to this point. I've been clear about my reasons why. I will boycott a Eurovision Song Contest that is hosted in Israel, and I don't think that will be surprising to any of you. Theodore, thank you so much for the super chat. Says there are so many jury songs, Israel's jury points will be surpassed even further. Yes, I think so. So, in conclusion for today, because I do need to get off to the arena to see the dress rehearsal this afternoon, I'm going to go and rest, get prepared for this evening. I hope you've all enjoyed the coverage so far this week, and I'm excited for what is the biggest and most exhausting stream of the year this evening. Hopefully, everyone, all of our big favourites will go to plan, and only one act will maybe have a bum note here or there, just to really secure it. Yeah. So, let's see where we go. It's been really fun going through the second semi-final and looking at the running order with you this morning. Obviously, lots of things to talk about still. We're going to have hours and hours more to talk about it. So, I will see you tonight about 8 p.m. Thank you, as always, for watching. If you'd like to buy some merch, such as this lovely hoodie, which has this great pattern on the back, which you can sort of see there, you can do so at escgabe.com. The link is in the description, and the mods have posted it in chat as well. And it helps support the channel and helps support me. So all contributions are very much appreciated. Thank you all for watching. See you all later, and I am going to end the stream now and wave to you all. And isn't it nice? No lag, and I was using my personal hotspot today. See you later. Still waving.